Hello, Irish fans, and welcome to another edition of Dome and Domer. My name's Mike Brammer. Joining me tonight, Mike Coffey from NDNation.com, as we kick off the first review of the first game, which actually, arguably, Coffee, I was going to pass it to you had Ed been on the call. Ed can't make it tonight, but you were closer than the three of us in your predictions, and I kind of thought you were out of your mind at the time. But what led you make? I mean, you almost nailed it, except I think you said 55-10, or maybe I was wrong. What did
44-10.
44-10? All right,
Actually,
so you gave them
I think I
you gave
ended up
them
going
7 more points than they should have, and kind of realistically, the 3 points. I mean, I don't know. That was a little weird. Should they have gone for it there? I don't know. I mean, it's no big
that
deal, but
actually surprised the only giving up the 3 points actually surprised me a lot more than the 44 did. I mean, but my rationale was everything I had heard about Sam Hartman since he arrived back in the spring, not only the on the field stuff, I mean, his ability to make the throws and find the open receivers and direct the offense, but just the respect he was engendering, just the number of people on that team that just idolized is the wrong word, but so strongly respected him and really felt that he could guide them to where they wanted to go. Having that kind of a guy as your quarterback makes a huge difference. I mean, we all saw Joe Montana play, we saw Joe Theismann play, stuff. I mean, guys who have the respect of their teammates, guys who can back up their physical ability with leadership ability really can make things go. And so you're talking about playing a Navy team that's already undersized with a new head coach that's actually defensive minded. I just felt that was a recipe for Notre Dame to get out ahead early and often. But even I didn't expect the quality of uh, offense that we saw. That was just absolutely
yeah, it really
mind-boggling.
was. I mean, I think it was, to your point, you're right about Hartman. I'm not going to beat down this path. This is going to be the last time I bring this up, but it's fascinating because we talked about this before the pregame show, and it was interesting how this played out. So if you look at this, Notre Dame comes out, first play of the game, they run it 10 yards. Second play of the game, 19-yard pass. Third play of the game, this is first and 10 at the 48. It's 0-0. They kicked off to us. No
Mm-hmm.
gain, estimate. Pass incomplete to Tobias, which to me, I'll be honest with you, Coffee, I was like, oh my God. First opportunity for Tobias. We needed him to get off really well. Little screen pass and hits his hands and he drops it. And he had some room there. I was
Mm-hmm.
bummed out for him because I just so much. He had the one catch last year. You really need him to get off on a good start this year.
No doubt.
Yeah, and I was just really bummed about that. And then on top of it, the very next throw to him wasn't his fault at all. It was
No,
underthrown by Hartman. If he
not at
puts it
all.
out there, Tobias, I mean, it's a touchdown, and he just
Mm-hmm.
he just didn't throw it in space. But anyways, so now it's 3rd and 10, and here's the big, huge moment. This is the big moment in the game. 3rd and 10. Here it is. Oh my God, what's going to happen here? And your immediate thought is it goes to the offensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
What is Gerard Parker going to call here? And he calls a running play to Audrey Estime, 3rd and 10, and it goes for 11 yards. Now, believe me, the entire Navy defense didn't see that coming.
No,
About
they
the
did
last
not.
thing they thought was going to be a running game. And here's the big, huge question: is that really a great call? Is
I
that
think it's a fantastic call. That was the call. Those were the calls that Tommy Rees was not willing or able or whatever to make. I mean, that was the kind of call where you are able to physically overpower the guy right across from you. There is no reason that Notre Dame shouldn't have been able to get like 10 yards a carry or whatever. I mean, and that's an exaggeration, of course. There's no reason Notre Dame shouldn't have been able to pull that off. And the fact that they thought they would need to drop back in a 3rd and 10 situation, that was Tommy Rees's default. That was the uh, I think the weakness in his game that opposing defensive coordinators would exploit. What I like about Parker's call there was he said, "This is our strength. yeah, what we need to do in this first half is beat the bejesus out of you so that when you're coming out in the third quarter, the only thing you want to do is go back in the locker room. So
Yeah,
yeah, they might not have gotten all 10 yards there, but the fact that it was another opportunity for Notre Dame to get physical on an overmatched Navy team
yeah. And
showed that not only was there a game plan, he was going to stick to that game plan, even if he got into a temporarily bad situation, which is we did not see a lot of the last couple of years.
yeah, and I think that the point about this whole decision at that moment is not necessarily is the play call a great call or not. Because look, I think that the if that play went for 4 yards, I'm not kidding you. Every Notre Dame fan in the country would have been screaming, "Oh my God, we have the most prolific passer in the ACC in the last, well, forever, quite honestly, except for Philip
Mm-hmm.
Rivers, right?" I mean, I guess I should throw that in. That he didn't. Philip Rivers has more passing yards than him, but anyways, he's number two to that. How could you not air it out at that point? It's 3rd and 10. How could you not throw? I mean, that's just the natural reaction that a fan has as they're watching the game. But back to the point you're making, being an offensive coordinator is way more than just making a play call. It's
Mm-hmm.
setting a tone. It's having a relationship with your players that says, guys, we're all on the same page here. We had a game plan coming into this game. We're sticking with that because I believe in you guys.
Yep.
And we know that we can execute this play. And I'll bet you, I mean, I think it would be fascinating to find out what were the options that Hartman had when he walked up to the line of scrimmage.
Mm-hmm.
If they in
And
fact were loading that side, he would have audibled out of it and called something
I imagine he
else.
would have. I mean, because I
Yeah,
think
but he didn't
Sam
because they
Hartman
didn't do it.
walked up to the line of scrimmage, as you said, and he saw the defense. He saw them back out. You could tell Navy was expecting pass. As I said, they're already physically overmatched and they're further away from the line of scrimmage. So I can see Hartman saying this play is going to work, sticking with it and just letting it
Yeah,
go.
and
I mean,
he ends up
this
calling it.
isn't PlayStation. This is, as you said,
That's exactly right.
there's got to be a game plan. And if you're going to jump away from the game plan the minute something goes
That's
slightly south,
then
then
everybody's gonna be like, what the hell was practice the last
yeah,
2 weeks?
exactly,
If we were pounding
exactly.
this in and out all week long and we
Hmm.
don't accomplish what we were saying, then what are we doing if we're shifting gears after the fourth play of the game? But yeah, no, I
Exactly.
think this is the whole point. And again, kind of to your point about the third quarter, man, you execute on that play and you get a first down running the football. The Navy guys are thinking, crap, man, we can't even stop them on 3rd and 10. And they're
Yep.
running the football. And then you put together 3 scoring drives right away. I mean, that game was over, unfortunately, for Navy in the second quarter.
Oh yeah,
And
definitely.
and that's exactly what you wanted as a Notre Dame team. Um, back to the whole quarterback issue. That I gotta well, I'll give credit uh, to Jim O'Donnell who sent this to me, but I mean that is a perfect. Now I'm pretty damn sure this is the dump off to Audric Estime. I'm
Hmm.
almost sure that's what it is. But the whole point is it just goes to show the level of confidence in Sam Hartman and what
No
he's
doubt.
doing. I mean, think of this, Coffee. Can you imagine being a linebacker and seeing his eyes and knowing you're being taught to read his eyes and
Hmm.
you're inching to the right and the ball goes the other way? And I
Oops.
mean, the next time he drops back and he starts looking somewhere, what are your thoughts on? All right, is he really going to throw it there? Is he
Yep.
going to throw it somewhere? And
Yeah,
I just puts you on
that's
your back heels. And I think that look, we can get overexcited about this football game in terms of the performance Hartman had, but I really feel like it just basically shows you that if we have any kind of running game this year, man, we are going to be tough to stop. And I mean,
oh
real
yeah.
tough to defend because you're not going to be able to go double on the outs. You're not going to be able to do that. Not
Nope.
if we're running the football right down the middle. You can't go double up on the outs. That's not going to happen.
I
So
was listening.
Hartman, to his credit, and I don't know if you saw this, but there's a particular replay that I think Notre Dame put out. It was every single one of his completions.
Hmm.
And when you watch it, there was not a single time that he threw into double coverage. When is the last time you saw a Notre Dame quarterback do that?
Way too long,
It's been a
unfortunately.
long time, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
I just find that fascinating, and his ability to know where to go after he gets his initial reads after the ball snapped.
Hmm. No
And you
doubt.
could see it when you watch the film. You could see Hartman catch the ball, look, and as soon as he saw his reads, he knew exactly he was going for. And that
Hmm.
guy was one on one. It was just a
Yep.
matter of, was he going to beat this guy or not?
Well,
And I'm telling you what, that's a huge advantage to have a quarterback.
I agree. And I think Phil Hartman is seeing the advantages of being at Notre Dame also. I was listening to Mike Frank's podcast this week, and he pointed out that Notre Dame had, I think we averaged what, about 6+ yards a carry against this team. If you go back and look at all of Sam Hartman's games at Wake Forest, they only did that once. And I can't remember which
Yeah,
opponent it was. And you can say, oh, it's just Navy and all that. But I mean, Wake Forest played cupcakes too, and they never managed to put together a run game like that. So
yeah,
the fact, as you said, the fact that Notre Dame can perform on the ground with its five-headed monster or whatever, running the ball, defenses are going to have to play Notre Dame honestly. I mean, you
yeah,
can't, as you said, you can't double up on the wideouts. You can't depend on just your front 4 or 5 guys to keep the running game bottled up. You have some of the linebackers have to at least worry about the fact that someone's going to come out of the backfield to them. And the more you have to make them think, the more assignments you press upon them, the higher the probability they're going to make a mistake and you're going to have something successful.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, and it was kind of weird because in that first quarter, you had that situation where we faced that 3rd and 10 at our own 48. Okay, that was the first series of the game. If
mhm,
we don't get that first down, you're like, oh my God, we're punting it away at 0-0. Navy's
yeah.
gonna, and then the first time Navy gets the football, they drive it, they get in that 4th down situation, and then
And unfortunately, had a wideout who thought he was a cornerback. So,
yeah, but the point is that in that 4th down situation, they actually got behind our DBs.
yes,
I
they
mean,
did.
it was the first down was there. They just had two Navy guys in the same spot and ended up bumping
They
into each
bumped
other,
into
and the
each other.
balls dropped.
Exactly. So,
So I mean, at that point in the game, you're like scratching your head, like, crap, man, is this going to be ugly for us? And then I think right after that play, holy cow, man, they just dialed in, and it was a different football game from that point forward.
I agree.
Um, and I think there's a lot of credit that's got to be given to Marcus Freeman in terms of having his team ready to play at
Mhm.
a very high level. That's
Yes.
not easy to do in your very first game, and for them to execute on all. And I know that a lot of people are going to say, you know what, Navy's not that good this year. They're in huge turmoil. It's a turnover program. I mean, let's wait and see how this plays out because I think it's going to be interesting.
And yeah, I can see that. I have absolutely no problem with people who make that argument. I would turn around and say, though, as I said before, good teams are supposed to beat the crap out of bad teams. And that's what happened here. Now,
Yeah,
Navy is one of those teams, and Tennessee State is going to be another one. There really isn't a lot great you can say for sure when you play a team like that. The only thing sometimes you can say for sure is if something bad happens. Now, fortunately, I can think of very few bad things that happened last Saturday. I really like the fact that there were 16 guys apparently who took their first snaps for Notre Dame on Saturday. I'm hoping we see just as many, if not more, this coming Saturday. But
yeah,
I think you can still, even though definitive positives are hard to derive, you can still look at how the team performed and think about how they played last year, how they played a number of games last year, the year before, where there were lapses. The team didn't come out focused. And so many other things that weren't done the way they were done on Saturday against Navy. And you
yeah,
pointed a lot of them out. The team came out focused. They were ready to play. Yeah, the defense on the first series looked a little shaky, but let's also remember this is a relatively brand new Navy offense. This guy, the new offensive coordinator that they brought in, a guy from Kennesaw State, I think. I mean,
yeah,
there's nothing to say that the film they had from last year was going to be any good. So you knew when Navy
yeah.
came out, there were
We
going to be
don't.
wrinkles, there were going to be changes. But I think once the defense adjusted to them, game was over.
Yeah, And actually, Freeman alluded to that in his press conference. I thought it was kind of fascinating. I don't know if you caught this, but he said, "Hey, there were looks they gave us that we did not see on film at all, and we had to make in-game adjustments."
Sure.
And he's like, "We did. We made those adjustments." And I'm telling you, man, that is what college football is all about. You can have all the basic preparation work, all of that up to game day. To really win the big games in college football, you have got to be able to adapt right in
Hmm.
the moment on the field, because you are going to be pressed with stuff that you have not seen on film. And that's how the good teams win. They come to the game with stuff that you're not anticipating. They
Hmm.
catch you off guard, and then if you don't adjust, you're getting beat. And
Absolutely.
I just think that was a great sign to hear that they made those in-game adjustments against a team like Navy, because they're going to have to do it
No,
against Ohio
absolutely.
State. It's going
And
to
and I
come.
because the other part is, I mean, I know there are a lot of people who say, "Oh, we should play Navy the first game of the year. Their offense is so hard to prepare for that it's great to be able to have the couple weeks and then spend the rest of the year just worrying about quote unquote traditional defenses." Well, the downside to that is when you're in a scenario like we were this year, where they have a new coach, a new offensive coordinator, and you don't really know what they're going to throw at you. I mean, it's not like when Ohio State comes to town, they're going to have a couple weeks of film to see like what their tendencies are, what their I mean, granted, they're not necessarily playing anybody earth shattering, but you can at least see what their personnel, who the personnel are, how they're performing, what their tendencies are, things like that.
Yeah.
Any team you play in the first week, you're going to have to deal with that. So when you're playing Navy and the offense is already not an unusual methodology that they use, it could make it even worse. Fortunately, as you said, those on the fly adjustments, which the championship level teams have to have, and he was able to do it. So that worked out perfectly.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, it's really cool to see that, because I think, in terms of the good things that you saw that are like really encouraging, number one, the stable of backs that we put out there, and the production that they put up. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody knew that Estime was going to be a workhorse and was going to literally carry a major load. But man, to have the guys come in there, Jadarian Price, Love, I mean, man, he looked good. I mean, you're talking
Mhm.
about these are first time carries for these guys. Uh, Boy, that is a real damn good sign.
Absolutely.
And I just think that, I'll give a shout out to Tim Priester, because I think he made a great point with this. When's the last time you saw a prolific Notre Dame passing game when there wasn't a single throw to the tight end?
Oh, yeah, seriously.
I
That's
can't think, like, for in my mind, I look back and I'm like, holy cow, that had to have been like 15 years
oh,
ago.
easily,
Like,
easily. I mean, when
and,
we went from Mike Meyer to
yeah, I mean, it was almost like we don't have any outside game whatsoever last year, to now all of a sudden we don't have any inside game whatsoever. But it doesn't matter. I mean, it's the other thing that Hartman did, which was great, is he spread it out. I mean, he did
Mhm.
not single out anybody. You could just tell that he was going to go to whoever had the one-on-one matchup, and he had confidence that his guy's going to win that, and
Mhm.
he just needed to put it there. And I actually thought Hartman missed a couple. I mean, he made the throws ultimately into catches, which ended up, especially the Jordan Grayhouse touchdown down the
Mhm.
middle. But if you go back and look at that, he kind of underthrew that. He didn't throw it into the open space because Grayhouse had his guy beat. But if you look
Mhm.
at that, the ball was really close to the defender. Grayhouse just made awesome concentration, reeled it in, and scored the touchdown. But there was another play where, and another surprising moment in the game was just how well Chris Tyree adjusted. I was really surprised, to be
Mhm.
honest with you. I
Absolutely.
did not think he was going to have the number of catches that he had, because that's a huge transition. You can't just go from running back to slot receiver and be really damn good with
Oh,
no
sure.
experience whatsoever. I mean, that you're asking a hell of a lot from a guy. But
Mhm.
it was shocking at the number of catches he got in that short little space where you want that slot receiver to get. And then just, the obviously him in open space is a damn good thing. It just
Sure.
seemed like out of the backfield, he had a really tough time getting past that line of scrimmage to get into some open space. Now, as a slot receiver, he's catching that with some open space. He's
Mhm.
going to make a couple guys miss, and there's going to be some big, huge plays from him. But I just thought his ability to catch the football. There was that one throw again where Hartman kind of threw it. There was a guy in his way, and you could see it distracted Tyree. I mean, the ball hit
Mhm.
Tyree's hands, but he dropped it. But it was because the defender was right there in his
Sure.
face, and it's just that's one of the things that you're going to just have to adjust to. It's going to take some time to do that. But in terms of his transition from running back to slot receiver, I mean, holy cow, that looked like a great move, which is not an easy thing. I was kind of worried going into the game that, man, that's a big ask, but a lot of credit to Tyree and his adjustments.
And the good news is, I mean, the quality of opponent they have in week one and week two definitely gives them a chance to get reps and get comfortable at game speed with getting the ball thrown to him in various situations. Like I said, the play you talked about where the distraction caused drop, well, that's something you can learn from. And fortunately, that's against a team where that dropped it. That wasn't a drop that killed us. That just happened to be something that happened. Something he can learn from. Same with the throw to Great House, which like and how great is it that you have a guy who can make the adjustments on that throw to score the touchdown. So Hartman doesn't have to be perfect. He just has to be good. And I think we can agree he's definitely capable of good. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah,
a
and
big
there were
positive.
a couple throws, but for the most part, I think the most encouraging thing is that boy, he just felt in total control. I mean, you could
Mhm.
just tell that Hartman, especially on that scrambling, where he found Grayhouse again in the end zone. I mean, he's scrambling, he's all the way to the line of scrimmage, and then he's got his eyes downfield, guys wide open, boom. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, man, that puts a heck of a lot of pressure on the defense.
Oh, no doubt.
Because, granted, Hartman's not kind of the threat from a running standpoint that Buckner is, but boy, Buckner is, at least from what we saw last year and the limited ability that we saw, nowhere near able to see the field like Hartman does.
Oh, yeah,
And
definitely.
it's going to be interesting. Look, I'm rooting for Tyler Buckner. I hope to God that he does really well at Alabama. I like the kid. He's a tough kid. But it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Mhm.
But boy, Hartman just brings another level and couldn't be better timing in terms of the Notre Dame football program and what we need at this point, and how that might end up being an opportunity as for steal a game that we normally would lose. That Stanford
Mhm.
game last year, the games where we just can't seem to click offensively. We
Mhm.
let that team to hang around, and the next thing you know, we lose in a 7-point, 3-point game.
Yeah.
Having a guy like Hartman is going to probably get you to escape a few of those bad
Or not even
situations.
have them be close in the first place. I mean, think about like the
Exactly.
number
I
of
mean,
drives that for
yeah,
Marshall and for where just everything looked tentative and
yeah,
just as you said, the offense wasn't clicking. I mean, how much difference all you need is like one more touchdown drive in each of those games, and those are wins.
and their wins.
So
That's
I
exactly
mean,
right.
I don't
Yeah,
think there's anyone out there who doesn't think Sam Hartman is not capable of giving at least one more touchdown drive against a quality team like
yeah,
that. So
yeah. Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, I think this is going to be a great season to watch. I think there's going to be a lot that we can look forward to from a Notre Dame football team that's going to really probably progress in a lot of positions that we know. I got to give shout out to Maris Leofau. I was critical of him last year. I thought he
mhm,
overran pursuit several times. I thought that he kind of wasn't really that confident in his gap play.
mhm.
Man, he was all over the field and didn't miss any tackles and was just I mean, that's the best game I've seen him play in a Notre Dame uniform.
I agree.
If he continues with that, holy cow!
Yeah,
Because
because this is the
I
guy
just thought,
this is the guy we were hoping we were going to get last year. And if we get him this year, hey, great. I
yeah,
don't mind
that's
if it's a
right.
year late.
He just played, wow, a hell of a football game. So hats off to him. And I mean,
Indeed.
the linebackers as a whole really were stout. I mean, Bertrand is Bertrand. He's always going to give you that effort.
Mhm.
Kaiser was, I think he had 8 tackles. I mean, he was all over the field as well. But we were pretty solid up front. Now, again, I think that we probably won't really know where we're at on the defensive line until we get to NC State, because
Yeah,
of the quality opponents. But
sure.
it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the NC State game, because I think that's going to tell a lot in terms of our defensive pressure from the defensive line, because we're going to kind of need it. I really feel like we gotta show some growth there
Mhm.
and ability to kind of bring some pressure. Otherwise, it's going to be really tough on the defense
Yep.
in terms of, especially when you get to Ohio State. I mean, that's going to matter a big. But in any event, things really look good. So in case we don't do another show this week, what's your prediction for Saturday? I mean, it's obviously going to be a win, but
Well, see, this is, I mean, like last Saturday, I am really not concerned about the score. Well, I definitely want to win, duh. My concern is I want to be ahead by enough where the younger guys again get game speed chances to, and as tempting as it is to say, oh, 77-7 or stuff like that, I don't think, uh, I think you're going to see Notre Dame's reserves a lot sooner before it gets to that. I mean, everything I've read has said that Tennessee State's a really poor team, even for a division, even for an FCS team. So, and as I could go on forever about, I've had an article sitting in draft for weeks upon weeks about Notre Dame playing an FCS school and how this game should be done. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that. Anyway, I'm going to go 56-10.
there you go. Yeah, I'm going to say 45-14, only because I think you're going to see the reserves in there, and especially Hartman being pulled. I think you might see us put a boatload of points in the first half and maybe half of the
Yeah.
third quarter. And then I
Mhm.
think you're going to see a bunch of reserves come in the game,
Yeah.
because this is an opportunity to get a lot of guys to play. And I think
Yeah, and
you got to
plus
take
you got to
advantage of that.
plus I think Marcus Freeman's very aware of like the ostensible reasons why this game is being played, and like
Yeah.
I think it's important
Yeah.
to him, especially with a guy like Eddie George across the way. I I think it's I think it's important to Marcus Freeman to not embarrass these guys,
Yeah,
and if that
exactly.
means
Yeah.
that the
No, this
walk-ons
is
play in the fourth quarter, then
yeah.
that's what that means.
Yeah,
So,
I think he's going to approach this as a scrimmage. He's going to want to get his objectives done.
mhm.
Hey, we as an offense want to accomplish the following things so that we're ready going in and confident into our next opponent.
Yep.
And ultimately, I really kind of feel like that's going to be the game plan, is to let's execute these objectives. The second we get those done, then we're bringing in the reserves,
Yep.
and we got to get some guys with some playing time. We've got plenty of depth on this team. Let's get them excited. Let's get them
Mhm.
playing, and I think you're going to have to do that.
Mhm. I agree.
So that's probably what we're going to be looking at. I don't think we gain up. I don't think there's anything really good that comes out of this game, to be honest with you. I mean, it doesn't matter whether we win big or, whatever the score ends up being. Nobody's going to say like, "Oh, great win by Notre Dame."
Yeah, no, they're
I
not
mean,
going to say.
it's
As
kind of just it's
the
a
only
game
things
that
that
you
can
just
happen in
check
this game are
off.
negative.
Yeah,
So,
there's nothing worse coming out of this. You just want to stay healthy. Let's just hope we get out of this game with no injuries.
yeah,
Um,
stay healthy, learn as much as you can about your team, and come away with like a 4-score win. That's
yeah,
that's
exactly. Move
everything
on
you
to
want
the
to get
next,
done.
and there we go.
Yep.
Well, look, there's plenty to be excited about. We hopefully can hold this moment of being in the playoff hunt for weeks to come.
Sure.
And yeah, I mean, a lot's going to be riding on the October 23rd game against 23rd or
September
25th?
September
25th.
23rd.
September 25th.
September
I
23rd is
said
Ohio
October,
State.
you're right.
Yeah.
October would be USC.
USC,
But
and
yeah,
then
which, by the way, I watched some of that game. Yeah, the Branch kid's the real deal.
yeah, true.
Caleb Williams is the real deal. Branch is the real deal. They
Their
got some
defense is still
studs,
terrible.
but their defense, I'm telling you,